Here now is Kevin Hassett, White House Council of Economic Advisors Chairman. Kevin, great to see you. Congratulations on everything that's been popping.
It's been a great week.
The market is expecting a deal. Are they right?
Well, I think that we're very, very hopeful. The clock is ticking. We need a deal by Friday. But everything I'm hearing is that the talks are going very well, and you guys covered that well in the intro. You know, I think that one of the things to appreciate is that there was a heck of a lot of negotiation going on over NAFTA with Canada and Mexico, you know, in the beginning of the year. And so Ambassador Lighthizer and the team and the president, they all kind of knew, as did the Mexicans, what the Canadians want. And I think that they had an eye on that as they were crafting the deal, so that they thought that in the end, when we had an agreement with Mexico, they could take it to the Canadians, and the Canadians would say, oh, well, you know, you factored in our preferences. That's a good deal. We'll sign up. And so I think that part of the strategy all along was to present them with something that they thought that they could sign on to. And I think that, you know, from what I'm hearing, you know, no one has said, yes, there's a deal or not, but everybody's saying, just as you covered, that the things are going, the talks are going well.
Kevin, this is a fascinating process that you just described. Let me put it in a nutshell, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that the Mexicans and the U.S. negotiating teams really ironed out a lot of details that not even the Canadians thought they'd be able to so quickly, and then presented the package to Canada as kind of a fait accompli. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if fait accompli, but the point is that they were negotiating a deal that was great for America's workers, which was President Trump's #1 priority. But they understood, you know, what the Canadians care about too as they were doing that, and I think that, you know, they were ever mindful throughout the process that in the end they would want the Canadians to sign up, and so therefore having the Canadians come through by Friday, you know, it's a much less of a heavy lift than you might think. Like if they had never been in the process and then all of a sudden we present them with a deal at the last minute, it's not that at all.
Fascinating, fascinating. What do you think? If we're successful at getting both countries to sign on by the end of the week, of course, you still have to worry about Congress, but what could that mean for the U.S. economy?
You know, the president promised on the campaign trail that he would renegotiate NAFTA, and it was a big applause line. And the reason is that I think America's workers feel like the previous deal didn't really serve them well. And if you look at the details,
let me just argue with you a little bit.
They're going to bring jobs back.
I think it might have in the beginning of the first half of NAFTA, maybe the first 10 years, but frankly, it got old and it didn't keep up with technology.
Sure.
I mean, we didn't have the technology that we now have. It also didn't keep up with some changes, some tweaks that disadvantage the United States against Mexico and Canada.
Right. Well, the president said from the beginning he wants a 21st century trade deal that serves America. But you know, there really were some legitimate points. Like in Mexico, they didn't have worker protections that we have in the U.S.
Right.
And so there was a concern that a workplace that really focused on safety, you know, that might have to shut down and move the job to Mexico where they didn't necessarily have to focus so much on safety. And so we've harmonized those worker protections. We've harmonized environmental protections, and we've made it really so that the concerns that I think made NAFTA so unpopular have been addressed. And this is a very, very historic reform already with Mexico, and if Canada signs up too, then it will really be one of the great negotiation accomplishments in the history of American trade.
In
they'll be writing about it in
less than 2 years
forever.
of this presidency, the timing is extraordinary.
That's right.
Now, on to the economy, because that was that's
4.2.
even without these trade deals, we've got a roaring economy with a revision of the second quarter GDP up to 4.2%. Consumer confidence through the roof. We haven't had these numbers in over a decade.
Sure.
And it's across the board. What I love is that there was a new Harris poll out showing that 85% of blue-collar workers feel very positive about their economic future. So it's not just benefiting Wall Street. This is benefiting the giant middle class in the U.S.
Right, and you know, the best part about it, I'm a geek, and you know that, but you have me back, so it must not be that bad.
I love your geekishness.
But the 4.2, the thing that was really awesome about the upward revision is that capital spending in the first half of this year was up 10%. Can you imagine? Up something? When's the last time you heard of anything being up 10%? But the reason why that's so amazing is that what that means is factories are expanding their capacity, they're building new buildings, they're putting in new machines, and in the second half of the year, all that stuff is going to start producing output, right? So it's not a sugar high, right? It's a boom that can continue because we're bringing output back to the U.S.
But I do have a bone to pick, and that's over the trade deficit. The trade deficit expanded in the month of July. This is, I believe, it's the second month in a row that's happened. It leads me to think back to 1984 when we had this huge trade deficit, at the time a historic trade deficit, the same year that we grew at 7.3%. Will I get you finally to admit, you and Kudlow and the rest of your buddies there, that in fact the trade deficit is not necessarily a drag on the economy?
Well, you're right that if we grow faster than our trading partners, the trade deficit might go up.
Right.
But you skipped the headline, which is in the second quarter, we added 1% to GDP growth because of the reduction in the trade deficit. And so in the third quarter, we're bouncing back a little bit from that. But exports are surging in the U.S. So that's something that Larry and I have been talking about forever, is that we need to make the U.S. a place where we produce stuff and then export it to the rest of the
There's
world.
nothing wrong with buying
that's
stuff,
what's going
though.
on.
There's nothing wrong with buying stuff, even if it's made overseas, as long as we grow internally at the same time. That's my point. Hey, Kevin.
But the trade deficit was a big positive in the news today. That's that. Yeah, I mean, it went down a lot. It was $58 billion seasonally adjusted at an annual rate. That's really good news, right? Do you think that's good news?
It's great.
I mean,
the best news is that
you.
we're growing. You know, it was said early on in this administration, growth solves practically all the economic problems, and we're in the midst of that experience right now. Kevin, great to see you. Please come back again.
Thanks for having us back. Of course, yeah. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.